here are the 5 myths that I typically hear from parents. And one is my kid is a good kid,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't do that because we go to church. They would never look at pornography. If someone showed them pornography, they just wouldn't do that because they're such good kids. And our kids are good kids, and we love them and we know that they're good kids. Number two, if my child saw it, he or she would just look away. It wouldn't impact their brain like we know it would. They wouldn't have curiosity like I was curious at 10 years old when I first saw pornography. Uh, we miss how impactful it is on that young child's brain and how that child's brain is underdeveloped. There's a lot more to go in there. We don't have time for that. But number three, the measures I have in place are good enough. And that typically means that parents are looking over their kids' shoulder, especially their elementary kids' shoulders, just to see occasionally what they're looking at. They're not really using any software that really helps monitor how the device is being used and receiving ongoing opportunities to create discussions in a culture that's always going after them. Number four, boys are the only ones who struggle. I don't need to worry about my girls. I cannot tell you the number of girls who's especially teen girls who, when we were going at these events, who will circle our table and they'll keep going around and around. But you've seen this at Pure Desire events as well. I know you have. And then they'll finally build up the courage. And my mom and dad don't know that I've been struggling with pornography since I was 8 or 9 years old. And we're seeing more and more of this. This is number five. This is what I always call the bonus, is parents believe the myth that if I talk about pornography or sex, then I will just make my child curious and they'll go seek it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposite has been proven true over and over again. I cannot think of any professional, any counselors, any folks like you who have say that when you provide meaningful information, you actually remove more of that curiosity. They have a safe place to talk about their temptations. They have a safe place to talk about their curiosities. And you're actually removing that curiosity rather than contributing to it.
Yeah.
I believe
Yep.
that.
And I would just echo that. I remember I was sitting with my youngest son at the time. He was 10 or 11, and he had heard a number that was associated, and he knew from the way it was said that number indicated something sexual. And so he's asking Dad, what does this number mean? Well, that was I was trying to think like, okay, age appropriate, how do I explain this sex act that he's heard about? And so I found a way to say it, and it was, I wish I had a camera, because when I described it, his mouth, he's like, are you serious? Like, people do. I said, I know it makes no sense to you now, buddy. One day it'll compute a little bit more, but yeah, that's what it is describing. And he's like, oh, okay. And what I thought about, the reason I'm telling this is, after that conversation, I thought, what if my response had been to say, oh, we don't talk about that, you're too young.
Yeah.
Well, now that curiosity, it's like, wow, my dad won't even tell me what it is. And I thought, what if his response was, well, I'm going to go Google that.
Oh gosh.
Or I'm going to go ask my friends. And I'm like, well, now I'm putting the need to know out to someone else.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, it was a little bit awkward. It was a little bit hard for me to find the right words, but I am so thankful I was able to answer that question and not have him go somewhere else with it, because that could have been far, far more destructive to him as a kid. And so,
yeah,
if you'd have said, hey, we don't talk about things like that, then that was where shame comes in and discussion closes down.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Dad is no longer a safe place to go to. So if I have questions like this, I know, don't go to Dad.
Yeah.
Go to Google, go to my friends, go to social media, go to somewhere else, but don't go to Dad, because he shuts down and I feel this internal shame, this
Yeah.
internal, I wish I hadn't asked Dad that. Now he doesn't think well of me. I'm a dirty person for having these kind of this curiosity or questions. We need to be safe as parents.
Yeah.
Such a good example.
I always tell parents, when those kind of things pop in, just pause for a minute if you need to, but always ask, well, where did you hear that?
Say, Jesus, help me.
Tell me what you know, because if that's at least gives you a baseline of where to begin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to just begin giving them too much information, and we don't want to do that either. Based on age, we know where we can proceed.
Yeah.